Hey there, welcome back. This is Chand from studyeasy.org, and in this particular video we will try to understand how we can list the records from the database on our console. Now if we check the database, I have done some updates in here. Now there are 4 records and these records are unique. The user ID are different, the username, first name and last name are also different, so we can easily identify whether the listing of all of these users are proper or not. So let me minimize this. Now friends, in order to save some time, I have already copied the previous project and pasted it into this particular project whose name is listing record, and this is the code which we have used and built in our last video where we were deleting a record from the database. Alright, so we will be updating this program and we will perform a listing of records operation in here. In here, if we quickly check, we also have this entity class where we have added all the entity related stuff. So this class is depicting our users table in the database, right? If you guys remember it. And now finally let us proceed further and let us update this code where we are performing couple of steps. So first of all, we are creating the object of entity class. So this is something which we need not to do as of now, we will do it little later. First of all, we need to start the transaction. Let us get rid of all of these stuff first. So as of now there is only 2 operations in here. Let me get rid of this line of code as well. So first of all, whenever we would be wanting to display all the records from the database into the console, the steps could be, first of all, we need to start the transaction. Once the transaction has started, then we will be making use of HQL now. What is HQL? HQL is Hibernate Query Language. This is similar to SQL, and HQL in fact give us better flexibility and better control, and it will give us couple of tools using which we can perform any operation. In fact, we can create our custom query and fire them on our database using Hibernate. So this is the overall idea of HQL. Let us check a very simple and basic demo how we can do it. So in here I will type in session.createQuery, and the query would be partial because HQL is smart enough to complete the query by itself. It only need the specific and a partial part, and how to build the queries, this is something which we will understand in couple of videos as well. So when it comes to listing records from the database, we simply need to type in the query, for example select a star from table name, right? But when it comes to HQL, in here we will simply type in from table name. Now friends, in here there is a catch. There is something which I will be discussing you in a minute. Let me show you real quick the table, the database table. The name of the database table is users. So we are keeping the same name of the table in here, right? So there is no ambiguity between this name and the name of the table in the database. Once we create the query, then we would be listing the records. So in here we also have one method by the name of get result list. Now friends, there is one more thing I would like to share. If you are making use of Hibernate 5.2 plus version, then make use of get result list, else make use of list method. So we also have this list method in here. So if your Hibernate is older version, then make use of list method, and if the Hibernate is later version, later to 5.2, then make use of get result list. So this is something which is informative. Alright, so now this particular statement will return list of users. Now in order to store this information, definitely we would require a list. So let us create a list now. So now we will type in list, and it would be list of users, right? So list of users, the name of the list could be like users again, and now the information would be stored to this list. Definitely we need to import the required package as well from java.util package. So this is good, this looks good, and now moving forward we will loop upon this list in order to display the information, right? So in here I will type in for, and then I will hit control plus space for autocomplete, and I will select this for each option. So Eclipse will code for us the temporary variable name could be like temp, and in between this for each loop we will type in sysout and we will display, oops, there is a typo, sysout. Oops, this autocomplete isn't working properly. Here we go. And then we will display temp. Temp is nothing but a temporary variable which will store a specific record at a time. Alright, so this looks cool. And now if I execute this, there would be a crash. Let me show you. So let me maximize the console. In here it will show us couple of crash, and it will say illegal argument exception, and the reason being users is not mapped from users. Now the reason is pretty simple. Whenever we create entity class, it is also good to give the name of the entity class. Let me show you the entity class real quick, users.java. So here is the entity class, and the entity annotation can also receive a name parameter. Let me add that. So in here if I add in a name parameter, this name parameter usually it is a better idea to keep it same as table, but we can also keep some other name. In here I will keep it as table name as well because that is recommended. Now this entity class will denote the table, overall table, and overall operations would be always based on the entity class, and the name of the entity class would be referred on your application. So now when we say from users, this means from this entity class users, right? So this class is now marked as entity with name of users, and this time way around if I execute this program, Hibernate will accordingly build the query properly and we will get records from the database. I hope I have made myself clear. Let me right click, navigate to run, and run this Java application. Here we go. So now we are able to see the output, which is fantastic. Now there is one more small little thing. Let me show you. I suppose that this commit statement is optional now. Let me comment out this because we are simply retrieving information. There is no need of commit, I suppose. So I will again right click and we will run the application. Here we go. So even the commit operation is optional. Let us get rid of it. So this is so damn simple, and this is a very simple example of HQL. We will check couple of more complex example in this particular section, so don't worry, and we will able to understand HQL in a greater detail. I hope I have made myself clear. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day and take care.